Welcome to 615 Unplugged, where we explore the people, businesses, and stories that make Middle Tennessee what it is today and what it will be tomorrow. On this episode, we meet Kate Hagan, a lifelong resident of Franklin, who shared about their journey from starting Twine Graphics and screen printing in a shed to managing a thriving retail space in downtown Franklin. We also discussed the unique charm of Middle Tennessee, the balance between growth and preserving history, and last but not least, we talk about the incredible entrepreneurial spirit that defines this region. So, as always, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation with Kate. Kate, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. It is a pleasure. Why don't you go ahead and take a second to introduce yourself, a little bit of who you are, where you're from, all of that stuff for the listeners.
Okay, yeah, my name's Kate Hagan. I have lived in Franklin pretty much my entire life. I was born and raised here. We live about 15 minutes south now in Thompson Station. I have a 11-year-old son, and then my husband Brandon is a local business owner. We have a screen print shop here in downtown Franklin, and then I manage our retail location right here on the square, which is where I currently am because it's my only quiet place. So,
Wow. Okay, so your retail
yeah.
space is your only quiet space?
Yeah, well, we're not open yet, and we have two farm dogs and no farm at home, so yeah, it's quiet
that
in
is
here.
that's funny. How long have you guys been around?
So we started Twine Graphics and screen printing in a shed in 2011. My
Wow.
husband and his business partner met at Western Kentucky University, both going to school for fine art. We moved back here, and John had moved back here. He's from here as well, and they decided to start their own place. Brandon worked at a screen print shop while he was in college. Um, and so we started in a tiny little Amish built shed in John's backyard when we were 23 years old. So we've been doing it for almost 15 years now. And then we opened up this store here in 2017. So we've been here for about 8 years as well.
And what led from the screen printing, production side of things to what was the decision process of like let's open up the retail side of things?
So this building that we are in is the oldest building on the square. It used to be owned by the Heritage Foundation of Williamson County, and they had it up for rent, and they had 80 businesses apply for the location, and so we also applied to use it as like a sales office space. We have the upstairs available too.
Okay.
And then we're going to do like a showroom down here, but then we decided to kind of make it into more of a retail space. So it's what I lovingly refer to it as a glorified souvenir shop. It's all pretty much Tennessee inspired designs. We just design and print them all ourselves in-house. So it still advertises for the main side of the business. But the Heritage Foundation, Mary Pierce, was one of the original members of that. She kind of stood up and really championed for Brandon and John, saying like they're the next generation of downtown Franklin. Like, let's see what they can do with the space. And so we were like, oh, well, here we go. We're going to get started in retail. And we did.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's always interesting to see downtown Franklin grow. Like I said, I've lived here my whole life, and it wasn't quite like this, 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. And so being a part of that growth has been pretty special.
How have you seen, obviously, like you said, it's no secret how much, Franklin and even just all of Middle Tennessee, how it's exploding. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe talk to me a little bit about what your perspective is on that and like how you've seen it evolve over time, the good, the bad, everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, in high school, downtown Franklin wasn't quite this, booming place that it is now. It's always been beautiful, except for the 70s when it was like an outdoor mall. But that's kind of where the Heritage Foundation and the Downtown Franklin Association came in and made it pretty again. um, so seeing the growth, I know it's like it's a fine line. It's a tightrope walk of allowing for growth, but also keeping a lot of our history alive. And I think Franklin has done a very good job of that. Um, so being a part of it has been a little weird. It's like, okay, I remember when this didn't even exist, like Cool Springs area, like just wasn't a thing. And
Right.
but be but we also wouldn't be where we are in business or life without it. So I think
Right.
you know like we have a shirt in our store that says no comfort in growth, and it's like, all right, well, if you're not growing, if the their town's not growing, you're staying stagnant, like you're just not, you know you're probably comfortable in that stagnation, but at the same time you're not growing, you're not evolving. And I think that's one thing that like our area has done a pretty good job of balancing, for sure.
Yeah. And what do you think makes Middle Tennessee like so special that is drawing so many people to it?
I mean, there's a lot of different things, I think, honestly. Our, landscaping itself is beautiful. The rolling hills, the changing of the colors of the trees. We have so many people come from outside areas and they're like, it's so green here. Like, it's just a beautiful area. I think Middle Tennessee and Williamson County especially is very small business friendly. There's a lot of small businesses down here that are, everybody's like, well, we don't want all the corporate whatever, but there's still a lot of mom and pop shops that are doing well,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it is contributed to the Williamson County area.
Yeah, that
Um,
is one thing that I've noticed, having been here now a little over 2 months.
okay,
Um, I've been pleasantly surprised of how entrepreneurial the whole area is. Like
it
it
really
really
is.
does feel like, man, everybody's got like something going on, and one of the things that I've loved most about it is anybody can put something up and start doing something, right? Great, awesome. And in the
Mhm.
business world, it's better to kind of like done is better than perfect, right? But
Right.
one of the things that has really struck me is the level of quality and I guess care or refinement that goes into a lot of the things that I'm seeing. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like this could have been, they could have stopped here, but they took it all the way to like the level of quality and care that has really kind of like stood out to me.
Yeah, yeah, that is definitely something I've noticed as well. And then I would think the element of community in our area, um, there's always somebody cheering you on, Even if somebody there's you're always going to have your doubters, but there's always somebody cheering you on as well. So the level of community in this area is great.
Yeah. Um, how you kind of mentioned that you feel like Middle Tennessee and the growth and all of that stuff is we're doing okay in terms of keeping, adapting okay. As you
Hmm.
look forward, if it was 100% up to you, what would be something that you go, this is one thing that I want to make sure we don't lose,
Hmm.
and this is one thing I would want to change for the better or something.
Mm. Um, One thing I wouldn't want to lose is a lot of the history, honestly. Um this is might get a little emotional, but here we go. My dad had my house that my grandfather built in the Green Hills area in 1940. He sold it back in November, and we were promised that they wouldn't knock it down. But the developer did not up in that part of the deal, and the neighbor sent us pictures a couple months ago, and it was gone. That's an almost 100-year-old house with it was, I mean, it was nice, it was cute, it was had character. It's not the tall skinnies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that like just keeping the history and keeping some of the charm and keeping the southern like hospitality, those things are who has made our area what it is. Um, as far as seeing what they could do better or what,
And
whatever.
if you don't mind
Yeah.
interrupting, I think that also adds to anyone else who moves here, right? Because then all of a sudden it's
Hmm.
like those little things that you find out, like the church that I go to, Hope You See, is they're on Homestead Manor, kind of like the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And just learning of the history and everything that the house has gone through, and like what it just like
Oh, yeah.
adds another feeling of like, wow, this is like a level of like awe when you're standing there and just thinking back of everything that has happened, right?
Right.
And not just, oh, here I am standing at a brand new build out of some where something stood once. No, no, no. It's still standing
Yeah.
today. Like you can
It's
still look
still
at the
so
thing. Yeah, it's been
right. Well,
remodeled somewhat, but you're not standing on a parking lot of what used to be X, Y, or Z.
Right. And that's, I mean, even the building that like I'm currently in, like I said, it's the oldest building on the square in downtown Franklin. So it was built between 1815 and 1817. It saw the Civil War. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
Um, that it's still here and it's still, and that it makes it special also being from here and being in a business in here. So that's kind of cool too. But just making sure that we, keep some of those old stories and that old information alive, I think is definitely important.
Well, remind me again, what is it that the shirt said? Your growth is
It's no
no
comfort
comfort,
in growth.
no com I love
Yeah.
that.
So, like I said, most of our shirts are Tennessee inspired. Like I said, glorified souvenir shop. But we've been working on a new line of more positive message based shirts lately. So that's one of them is the no comfort and growth.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so going back to that, let's go back to the
Yeah.
original question. What is something that you would like to see evolve or change as Tennessee grows?
Oh, the roads. The infrastructure and the roads. It's like I get it. There's only so much we can do. We're the only one county that TDOT is working with in the whole state of Tennessee. Like I get it. But I mean, if you're at Homestead Manor where you go to church, going south into Spring Hill is a little rough some days.
Yeah.
And now they're, down here in downtown Franklin, the Margin District that it's about to open up. It's going to be a big deal, and I'm hoping Columbia Avenue can handle it.
Yeah, it's funny. The other day, we were leaving church, and I kind of pointed that out to the girls, and they were like, "Wow, like why are there so many cars?" And I was like, "Well, I guess it's not a
There's
bad thing.
so
There's like
yeah,
17 different churches that all exit at the same time, and like I guess
I
there's worse reasons to have traffic."
yeah.
And everyone is some of the
Voices for
kindest,
Jesus.
like kindest crazy
Yeah,
traffic I've ever experienced, coming from Miami especially. Like, trust me.
yeah.
So,
I'm sure.
um, it's interesting the idea of like all this growth and everything, and I'm curious to see how that has what your experience has been in terms of the business side of things, right? Especially with the everything being so entrepreneur minded, everything. I'm sure that has a direct correlation into you guys
Oh
plugging
yeah.
in with brand new businesses. So
Oh,
maybe you can talk a little
100%.
bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little bit more my husband's brain than mine, but I can kind of touch on it a little bit. So we, like I said, started in a shed 15 years ago, and we were the first screen print shop in Williamson County to do it all in-house. So we started out off of Aberbright Avenue. Then we've had two buildings that we outgrew off of Century Court, and now we're on Harpeth Industrial Court. We have two buildings at the same time over there. Um, so it's the business growth in the last 15 years has been insane, and it is a lot of us working with other small businesses that are opening up. We have worked with some of our businesses for the full 15 years that we've been doing it, building those relationships, and we've completely built our business off of word of mouth and referrals. We, you know, it, like I said, you are always going to have your naysayers, but you're always going to have your champions too. And we wouldn't have the business that we have without the champions of people saying, check out Twine Graphics. They do a great job, or they're going to take care of you there. So that business growth, being in this area, has been really we've been really blessed.
That's awesome. And on the retail side of thing, I can imagine that it's just been, both on the tourist side of things, visitors, all of that, but then the new influx of people.
Yeah, for sure. So opening the store in 2017, obviously we had to survive a little bit of a pandemic thrown in there.
Hmm. Just a
So that
little
was
one, just a little
just a
one.
little, just yeah, it's fine. Retail sales were great.
Yeah.
So that was a rough period for sure. But see, since then, yes, we have mostly Tennessee inspired shirts because that is what sells. 90% of our shoppers or visitors were right here on the square. We're a lot of times people's first stop. So we're welcoming them into Franklin. We're kind of one of the first faces they see to find out like where to go. And then a lot of times we will then direct them over to the visitor center and be like, well, I have some things, but they got a lot more things to tell you about the area. So, but then the influx of people moving here in the last 3 years has definitely helped retail sales as well because they want to come in and then their family comes to visit and they want a Tennessee t-shirt and or a coffee mug or a Christmas ornament or whatever it is, whatever they collect when they're on vacation, that's pretty much what we have. So it's definitely been a good past couple of years post pandemic.
That's awesome. And speaking of ups and downs, right? You guys obviously have run a very successful business. But like we just talked about the pandemic or something like that, success is usually never linear, right? It's usually like a
Right,
roller coaster type experience. Curious to
right.
find out from your experience or from your recollection, what are some of your favorite failures? Meaning things that in the moment felt like, man, I can't believe this didn't go through, or this deal, or this other thing. But looking back, you go, wow, I'm actually glad that didn't because that actually set us up for this other thing that we wouldn't have expected after the fact.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I don't work so much on the production side to be able to like my husband probably doesn't tell me half the failures that happen so that I don't get worried.
So you don't get
Um,
freaked out.
but I mean, right, yeah. I mean, there's definitely been times where, we've gone all in with whether it's an employee or, we've trusted somebody that we thought, you know, was going to be always there. You know what I mean? But then they may not work out. And a lot of times it ends up being for the better because it does allow for us to kind of stop and pivot and say, okay, well, how could we make this position better? What could we be doing differently? How should it be delegated? And it allows for growth after maybe a little heartache.
How are you guys navigating those decisions when you're evaluating those things in the business, even on retail, on anything like that? Are there any influences that you constantly kind of find yourself going back to for inspiration, whether it's books, whether it's mentors, anything like that?
Um, yeah, I mean, I listen to a bajillion different podcasts and I couldn't even begin to name like any of them. They just kind of it's almost strange. Like Brandon and I were at the Barnes and Nobles the other day, and we were just kind of walking through, and it was like something that we were dealing with that there was a book, and I can't even remember what it was now, but it popped out. And we're like, oh, like maybe should be the next thing that we take a minute to think about. So it's always kind of interesting how those little things, maybe little God whispers or whatever, um, kind of come in and at the right time for sure.
Has there been a book in particular that you've personally felt like has been a big influence in your life as you look back?
Um, Not off the top of my head. I am not a, I don't have much time to read. Unfortunately, I should make more time, and it's probably part of the reason my 11-year-old also won't read, because he doesn't really see me doing it. But, uh, well, honestly, there's one, Atomic Habits was one that really kind of helped me figure out, because I wear a lot of hats and not just in the Twine life, but also at home. Last year alone, I was managing our retail location, doing the social media for our PTO, doing the social media for our vacation rental property that we have, and doing the social media for our store and our production team, while also being the one that's mostly in charge of my home and managing the retail employees here as well. So Atomic Habits was definitely one that kind of like helped me kind of like, okay, this is what you need to do to be able to get to the next level of what you want to do.
Yeah, that's a great book. Have you ever heard of The One Thing?
I've heard of it. I have not read that one.
Yeah, if you liked Atomic Habits, I think The One
Hmm.
Thing you would kind of like it would be right up your alley. If you liked Atomic Habits, definitely The One
Yeah,
Thing is
I
one that
will.
you would
I'll
that you
definitely
would
have to check that one out.
probably enjoy. And it's a very very light read, but it's very
Okay.
powerful, very powerful. Um, if you could go back, you guys have been doing this for 15 years, all of that stuff. 15 plus years, right? If you
It'll
could,
be 15 years next year. Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
So if you could go back 15 years and give yourself, knowing what you know today, if you could go back 15 years and give yourself a piece of advice, what do you think you would say to yourself?
Just hold on. Like, uh, there were days when Brandon and John first started out that so Brandon and I got married in 2010. They started Twine in 2011. Our son was born in 2013. That 3 year span of time was intense. um, they were working long hours in the shed. They were both also working full-time jobs while getting this started. Um, and being a wife of an entrepreneur is not always the easiest thing, whether it can look that way or not. I mean, I was luckily, once they got started, I was very blessed that I was able to stay home with my son for the first 5 years. I had it in home daycare with him. But those first 3 years, there were some nights we were like, okay, this is hard. And then we've had some of those obviously since, but not knowing, how it's going to turn out, you know, taking the risks that we've taken, every couple of years when we have to find a new lease or get a new building or hire a new employee or add on equipment. It's like there's always those, okay, is this going to work out? And just,
Right.
hold on. And I think that's definitely
Because that's the rub, right? Like that's the tension between, okay, we know that if we take this risk, we could grow into X, Y, or Z, or we could
right,
just, we this is working now. We could just stay here
right.
in this comfort. And so, um, any reason that you can think of why you guys do take the jump and not say, you know what, this is good. Like, let's just do what we know
So,
and
yeah. So Twine is an acronym for the world is not enough. Um, Brandon
no
and John
way. That is
especially,
so
yeah, yeah.
cool.
So Brandon and John, especially, not only is it a nod to, so John's dad's name is James Bond. That's kind of where it all came from. But so not only is it a nod to that, it's also very much their way of approaching life and business. It's like we're not going to settle for ordinary. We're not going to just do the bare minimum. We're going to take care of people the way that we need to take care of them, and we're going to keep moving forward.
The world is not enough. I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
God, I love that so much.
We have
That's a
that on a
gr
shirt as well, or a hat.
that is awesome. Okay, so one thing that I like to do on all episodes is the 615 rapid fire.
Okay.
So you get I'm just gonna give you a couple questions, and the first thing that comes to mind, that's what you shoot at me. You get a
Okay.
billboard on I-65 for 1 full year. What does it
Okay.
say?
I'm not good at rapid fire. 1 full year of a billboard.
I can just see it. I am not good at rapid fire.
Yeah, that might need to be it. Or it's a Tuesday, whichever one.
It's a
Um,
Tuesday, yeah.
I mean, honestly, it would have to just be a Twine billboard. It would just have to, talk of we. I don't know if you can kind of see it behind me. There's like a "Did you know" thing up here. It would just have to be that of an advertisement of this is what we do, this is who we are, this is where we come from, kind of basic information on a big old billboard.
Love it. Describe your idea of a perfect day in Middle Tennessee.
Perfect day in Middle Tennessee. So I would say, um, starting with coffee in downtown Franklin at one of our local coffee shops. We've got some really great ones down here, so I'm not going to name specifics. But starting with coffee in downtown Franklin, walking around, getting my kid ice cream, going out to Arrington Vineyard, spending the day out there. It's one of my favorite places. They're a longtime client of ours as well, and it's just something that I feel like everybody should experience when they come here. It's beautiful. I really love the Leapers Fork area. The Leapers Creek Gallery is one of my favorite places down there. I just like to get out and like enjoy the culture and the things that make our town special. There's not much I'd want to do in Nashville anymore. I would say I would go to a good concert at the Ryman. I do love a good Ryman concert. and maybe finish with a nice dinner. It maybe in Nashville.
Okay. Nice.
Perfect.
Favorite Middle Tennessee food spot and dish, and you do have to name names on this one.
Okay. So I would say I'm gonna go with my top three in downtown Franklin.
Okay.
Top three in downtown Franklin, I would say Oh Be Joyful for their burger. Delicious. I would say McCreary's Irish Pub for their fish and chips. They've been down here longer than a lot of places, and it's really good. You get the view of the theater right across the street. And then I would say, trying to think of who for a good cocktail. Probably Cullimar down on the rooftop down there.
Okay. Love
Yeah.
it. And then other Middle Tennessee people, businesses, stories, or anything that you think I should highlight on the show.
Yeah. So my friend Heather is great. She moved here from California a few years ago, or quite a few years ago. I'm not sure exactly how long they've lived here. But she is on staff at Visit Franklin, so she has all of the background knowledge of the tourism side of Franklin. Um, so she's great and she's super sweet. I would say if they have time with all of their opening of all the things, Lindley from Liebersborg Distillery. They just opened the new House of Spirits down here. That would be a great one to talk to, and they're very familiar with the Liebersborg area, obviously. Um, yeah, I think that would be two for sure. That would be great.
Love it. Love it. So before we sign off, and you tell people where they can connect with you guys and find out more about what you have going on, um, anything that you're working on, anything, it's coming down the pike that you want to let the listeners know about, anything.
Yeah, so like I said about the new line that we're working on, it's all very much more positive message based. It's based off the values that we've really built Twine Graphics off of over the last 15 years. Um, we've got 5 designs currently. We're working on 2 more for that. So we've kind of been releasing them about once a month to get those going. And then we're going to do kind of like a big, I'm hoping to get some models in and do some big like photography and kind of boost it more on online sales because it's not quite as like downtown Franklin, Tennessee t-shirt kind of thing, which is a lot of times just when people are walking by what they, want and need at the time. But this is a little bit different, a little bit special, and it's kind of been my baby for the last like 5 months. So,
That's very
and we have
cool.
it in store too, but we're hoping to be able to kind of promote it a lot more online as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Any parting thoughts, anything that we didn't go over, that you think we should have touched on or anything like that?
Not that I can think of. I think we got a lot of it pretty well covered.
Love it. And so where is one place or a couple of places, socials, anything? Go ahead and plug them in where people can stay up to date, find out more
Yeah.
about you, everything.
Yeah. So we have 2 different Instagram pages, one for the production side and one for the retail side. Production is at Twine Graphics on Instagram, and retail is Twine Retail on Instagram. And then same with Facebook. It's also separated into 2 separate pages as well. Um, Not big on TikTok yet. I can't. I feel too old to figure it out.
You don't feel comfortable doing some
I haven't gotten there. Maybe I should have the teenagers work on
maybe
it at
for
the
maybe
store. Be
for
like,
the
this
new
is your new.
merch launch, maybe for the new line.
Maybe,
It's got to be you,
maybe. Oh, geez, that's a lot of pressure.
Awesome. Kate, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for
Yeah,
coming
thank
on. Thank you
you.
for sharing
I
your
appreciate it.
story. This was awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much.
You got it. Hey there. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone you think would find it interesting. Until next time, thank you for tuning in.